Hey, my name is Randall, RLawrence, host of That Moment podcast, and I'm here with independent filmmakers Harold and Frank Jackson. What's up, brothers? Tell us what's going on. And tell us the movement that you're doing and which direction where you're going.
Well, first of all, thank you for having us here. This looks the place is beautiful, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thoroughly impressed by everything when we came in.
Thank you, man. I truly appreciate it.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. So we're both filmmakers in our own right, producers and directors and writers, sometimes shooters, whatever it takes, kind of filmmakers, and we've sort of got into a space where we're doing our own thing, we're doing it our own way, and we're figuring it out, and we're building on top of building, and we're stacking, and we're making it happen.
How does that feel? Like you say, because a lot of times as an independent filmmaker, it's certain things that you have to cross to get to where you got to go. And it's hard. It's hard. It's certain things you're going to be without, certain things you're not going to be able to see or touch or have to get to where you're going. Explain that.
First of all, it feels good to be able to do what you love to do.
Right, yeah.
And make some money while you do it.
Yeah.
But, initially, when we first started, the industry was based on, the distribution system was based on DVDs and stuff like that, which means you get your film on a shelf, but you, 9 times out of 10 times out of 10,
right.
you don't see anything back. But obviously, the industry has changed. There's been a shift with the online streaming platform. So now, as a filmmaker, you can get your film with an aggregator, and they put it on platforms, and you actually start seeing some money. So it actually feels good. But it's interesting because when you work on that level, and you're used to taking $1 and stretching it to $10.
Oh yeah.
You take that mentality on, and that's how you're working. And sometimes, as you start to grow, it's hard to let that go, even though you might have a little extra money. So for me personally, it's been a transition, just trying to change my thinking. To think on a higher scale as a filmmaker, and then taking advantage of resources to make a film with higher quality and more resources.
I noticed you guys said the resources. Explain to me compared to how long you guys been in the business?
I made the first film that anybody took notice of for me was about 2014. I did a couple of little things before that, but the first film that anybody sort of noticed was a film called Last Night that I did in 2014.
Right.
But I probably made my first project about 2010-ish, 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
About 15 plus years for me.
Yeah. Explain to me the difference from then and to now of what you're going through.
I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
In the early years, I think I was young and stubborn, and ultimately I think that helped me because today I still own all my work, all my IP. I still own everything.
Say, listen, to piggyback on what you said, I can relate and I can totally understand. I don't know if it's stubborn, but I think it's because we didn't have what we have right now. Because back then they were giving 70-30 deals. It was almost like you was just giving your stuff away.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I understand what you're saying. And I'm still there right now. I haven't released any of my things on, and not to say if anything is wrong with Amazon, but I haven't done that. It's almost like the services that we have, the resources that we have right now are the resources that we've actually been waiting for as independent filmmakers. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Go ahead, finish it.
Exactly. Yeah, and Frank sort of touched on it back then. It was, you made a project, you gave it to the distributor, they took 80%.
Yeah.
And then I remember when the particular film Last Night, it started to get a little buzz and people were excited about it. One of the deals that was offered was they take 80%.
Yeah.
And then you think, okay, 20%, but they'll put me over here, put me over there, whatever.
Right.
But in the small print, they had an extra 15% service
like
charge
pennies.
for every deal that they make, right? So we're essentially talking about every dollar that comes in, they get 95 cents of that dollar.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and then out of that 5 cents, they tell you, well, we put X amount of dollars into your marketing.
Yeah.
So you owe us money, right?
Yeah.
So back then I was stubborn and I was trying to find ways to monetize movies, and there just wasn't a way to do it back
Brother,
then.
I don't think you was being stubborn.
Yeah.
No, you did your research and you understood exactly what was happening, and then you just held up. Like Ice Cube is going through the fact of trying to get his own material back to him. They're asking him to pay for it, his own material. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
So back then there was no real way to be. You just did it because you loved it and you hoped that the seas would change at some point.
Right.
And now we're here, right?
Yeah.
And now the time is here, and the sort of ocean is split.
It's open.
And,
And
it's open, and there's ways to get there now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think this is a great opportunity right here with
Thank
this
you.
podcast because,
Thank you.
you know, like, you know, what Harold's been through, what I've been through as a filmmaker, we're kind of like, hey, what we know, we're going to share it. Where a lot of times in the industry, you know, the good information, they keep it right here so you can stay on the outside. But because of some of the bumps and bruises that I have, and I'm sure Harold has as well, we're going to share this information so that other filmmakers that want to get into it, it can save them some time and some heartache.
This is mainly one of the reasons why I did this podcast show. This is mainly one of the reasons why we did the studio. This is another reason why I needed you to come here for just that reason. Tell us about your first movie. Tell us about what you had to go through to get it done, and tell us about express your emotions of when you were finished with it. Because I know my first project was. Go ahead.
I think Harold and I definitely have a different experience, but I was in corporate America.
Right.
But I had a passion for filmmaking. So I literally took a class at a public access station in Prince George's County called CTV 76. I took their editing class, producers class, and once you complete their class, you can sign out their equipment for free. So I took the little three camera, I forget what it was at the time. Basically, it was tape where you had to transfer everything via tape. But I took that out and I wrote a script and just started shooting. And you know, I didn't go the school route. So I'm from YouTube University, and
that's me.
I went out
there.
I made a lot of mistakes. I'm running scenes in bathrooms and I didn't turn the refrigerator off, and then I get in the post. I'm like, where did that hum come from? You know, I was making those type of mistakes, but definitely. You know, so I bumped school hard knocks.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, when you complete it and it's done, that feeling. That's why, you know, it's hard for me to say a film sucks. Because I know what it takes to make a film. Even though a film may suck. But it's hard for me to say that because I know all the work and effort that goes into it. And so when you complete it, it's like, that feeling you have is like.
I am so glad you said that. Harold, I'm going to let you speak and then I'm going to piggyback on that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So, for me, I can sit back and watch an hour, 20 minutes, or even if I know towards the end it didn't do what it needed to do as far as like, or if it sucked. But again, like you said, I know what it takes to get it to start something and to finish something. That's an accomplishment in itself. In itself, right there. So all the things in between, it's just tweaks that you learn from and move forward. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Harold.
Yeah. I'm a little more like if it came from a studio. You have all the tools at your disposal. So your movie shouldn't suck. So if your movie sucks, if you came out of a studio and your movie sucks, I have a problem with that, right?
Yeah.
But if you're coming up the way we came up, and you, like a lot of people think Last Night was my first movie because that was the first movie that people sort of noticed.
Right.
But I made a movie before that, and I won't say the name
right.
because it was God bless it. It was me, and it was literally me and the actors, right?
I get it.
And I would light and then hide a mic and then okay, action.
Right.
It was a mess. It was a complete mess. It was a one man band and I would come to work and I would have all kind of stuff in my car and it was a mess, but it got done, right? And then nothing happened as it shouldn't have happened because it wasn't a very good movie. But I loved this, so I kept going, and then I made a couple shorts, and then I made the first film that got noticed, and then that kind of picked up steam for me a little bit. But it was still a struggle up until probably the last 2-3 years. is when the sort of system has sort of opened up and been more friendly to us.
I got
so
you.
Up to that point, it was a labor of love. There wasn't a lot of return on investment, if any at all. And you just had to I'm so glad I pushed through that hard time and ended up here.
But some people fail to realize, some people fail to understand, pushing through the hard times is what makes you better. Because you should know not to keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again.
Right.
But for somebody to tell you about those mistakes, you're not going to process it until you literally go through it as an independent filmmaker. Whether you're putting up your own money, whether you're putting in your own hard work, when you start investing in yourself and then something doesn't work out, you appreciate it a lot. You appreciate it a lot more. But then it goes back to say, when you have certain people in place and you have all the tools and it should work out, sometimes that's not all the case.
Right.
You can have all of those tools, you can have all of those people, but are the stars aligned for those people to understand exactly what it is that they're supposed to be doing? Because you can have one person that mess up everything. That messes up everything.
We actually just finished a production. Whenever this airs, this is our first full week off from production.
That's
so
cool.
So we just finished a production of a film called Iceman.
And, congratulations!
Thank you. And we it was a smooth production. I mean, we had hiccups and we had people who I wouldn't say they tried to disrupt, but just their nature was disruptive. But we sort of let it roll off. We figured it out. We moved around. We circumvented, and we got it done in a very effective and professional way. So you're right. No matter how much you line everything up, it's going to crack. That's just the nature of this business, right?
Yeah. There's no way around that.
Even if you do everything right, somebody shows up late.
But that's actually the fun part, because with that, learning from those mistakes, understanding what to do moving forward, seeing other people watch you do what it is that you do, having cast members to come on location and leave with an attitude of, I put in a good hard work today, and I was proud to say I worked with Frank, and I was proud to say I worked with Harold. I won't go and instead of saying, hey, I won't go back to that, because once you get this label, I won't go back to that shit again. Excuse the language. Once you get that label, and once that information shares with another actor, it's hard for you to cast.
It's hard for you to cast. It's hard for you to get crew members.
Yeah.
It's hard for you to do a lot of things. Sometimes a lot of I hear it all the time, and I've been in a situation where when you start production, it looks like you have all the money you need. Yeah. And then by the time it's the end of it, you're hurting. You're trying to figure out how you're gonna close the loop on all this stuff. Right. But you got to figure it out, right? Money
helps, but money is not everything when you have a production crew. It's not everything.
And then what I was getting at is that, sometimes a certain type of producer will just, I ran out of money. I don't know what to tell you. I know you did your part, and you expect to get paid, but I just can't pay you. I don't know what to tell you. But the problem is that, first of all, you can't treat people that way, period, anyway. Yeah. Second of all, when you try to go back out and make another movie, they've already told their friends about you, right? Yeah. So now you're calling people and everybody's telling you, I'm busy, I can't do it. And you're looking around like, I can't find any crew. Yeah. Well, that's because you were screwing people over. You know what I mean? You gotta treat people professionally and with respect. And I try to do that all the time. I'm not a perfect filmmaker or producer, but that is my goal, to treat people with respect and professionalism every time I go out. Right.
Yeah. As an independent filmmaker, tell me the difference between having a budget, not having a budget, but you have a strong, good idea and you still want to move forward. How do you move forward? And I asked that question because it's a lot of people out here that actually have good ideas, but they have certain things that they have, but they lack of money and don't know what to do. Because I'll tell you this, none of my movies were actually financed. I did 4 independent films, and they actually None of mine were financed, but they actually went on to do what it is that they needed to do, but not to the next level.
Right.
So,
the first thing I would say, and Harold, you can piggyback off this, is if you know what your budget is, you have to write a script or find a script that fits within that budget. So, like if you have a limited budget, you just, for example, you might want to avoid an action movie. You want to write a script or get a story where the locations are limited. Is it going to be a talking head? And I think that would be the first thing. Is just
what if you didn't have a budget though?
If you didn't have budget,
you didn't. What if the question was, what if you don't have a budget, but you still have an idea, you still have a crew, you still have people that's willing? How do you move forward?
Man, that's a tough one, because what I'll tell you is I did what Harold did. Is I just make the movie anyway.
That's what I did.
And I come out one man crew, and I'm humping.
That's what I did.
Right. So that's that. But then that has to be that hunger inside the filmmaker that nothing's gonna stop me.
Yeah.
And then once you put that energy out there, you'll start meeting people that connect with you and be like, I got you, I can.
You got to have a team full of people that's more hungry than you, to get it done.
Yeah.
Because it can't always be about money.
Right.
I mean, I know down the line we got to pay up, but it can't always be about money. Talk about sacrifice. What does sacrifice mean to you guys when it comes to being an independent filmmaker?
Yeah, that's what this is. If you don't want to sacrifice, don't get into this.
Yeah.
I don't know any other way to say it to you.
Give some examples.
For example, I think you said the same thing. The first film that I made that received any financing worth talking about was a film called The Forgettable Life of Liam White. Mm-hmm. That was 4 or 5 films into my career. So everything up to that point was self-financed. Yeah. Was hard work, was no crew today. I'm the editor, I'm the writer, I'm the producer, I'm the this, I'm the that.
Explain to people what self-financed is, because some people might not understand.
Yeah, it sounds like it means something. It means that your income after you pay your rent and you eat and you live and you got the bare minimums, that the rest of that money that's left over, you're pouring it into your movie. That's what self-financing means. I've heard some people take out loans. I don't suggest that if you're out there. Financing is not just putting $100, $500 into the movie. Yeah. It's hours on hours of your time that's unpaid, unrewarded, except for the movie, right? So you're putting hours and hours and hours of your time in. You're writing the script, you're editing the script, you're shooting the film, you're emailing people to try to get them to show up. Yes. You're calling. There's no casting director. You're calling actors. Right. You're calling in favors. You're doing everything you can to get this thing done, and that's what it looks like. So back to your original question, if you're not willing to sacrifice, I'll put it to you this way: if you don't love movies, don't do this.
Right. Don't do it for the money.
The work is too hard. The work is too hard.
Yeah, you got to be passionate. You have to be passionate about it, because there's times when you won't have none of the other stuff, and the only stuff to keep you going is your passion for what you're doing. And a lot of people, I'm not going to assume, but if a person's doing it because they want to do the red carpet premiere, or they're doing it because they want to see, John Doe film come up on the screen, all those reasons, that stuff only lasts as long as the movie plays. Yep. But everything else is not pretty.
Right.
It's not pretty.
You have to love it. If you don't love it, it's too hard. Right. If you don't love it, it's too hard to do.
Yeah.
To piggyback on what you said, I've actually sacrificed almost everything, financially wise, marriage wise, everything.
I was going to touch on that. I was going to touch on that.
It affects your relationship.
Somebody's going to get hurt. Mm-hmm. Yeah, talk about that. Somebody's going to get hurt.
I mean, you don't.
And it's not intentionally.
It's not intentional. Right. Like at some point, the person that you're with is going to have to accept your sacrifice as theirs, right? So they're going to have to know that I'm on a film for the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, month, whatever, and your time with me is going to be limited. But you have to be able to be okay with that, and a lot of people aren't, or I won't have any money for the next 6 months because I'm spending all my money on this project.
Yeah.
How can your partner deal with that? You know,
Yeah.
it's again, if you don't love it, it's too hard to do if you don't love it.
Right.
But basically, your significant other, your dream, in essence, becomes their dream.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're picking up the slack, and it's almost like that person has to understand before you step into it what they're getting into by being with a filmmaker. So it's like your relationship is affected. If you have kids, all of that stuff can be affected by it. Sometimes if I meet someone like these gentlemen that you have here working, if I was talking to them off camera, I might be like, "Are you married?" They're like, "No." You want to be a filmmaker? They'd be like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Don't get married yet."
right.
Don't you have any kids? Nope. Don't have any kids yet. Put your time and energy into this and see a reward from it, and then use that to start building your whatever you're going to build outside of that. Because if I could do it over again, what I would do different is I would kill my overhead.
Right.
Now, these are just hard things you can do. Minimize your overhead. If I'm young and I'm still home with my parents, I'm going to stay with my parents.
Yeah.
I'm going to minimize my overhead. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to hustle and I'm going to make movies. But as soon as you get married and you get the house and you got the kids.
It's totally different. It's because your other responsibilities, you have to make sure that the other responsibilities are taken care of.
Right.
And again, like I tell, I'm so proud to have Alex and Levi. They young and they know exactly what they want to do for the rest of their lives. Yeah. And I wish I started like at 35, 36.
Right.
I had no idea I knew it was something in the film industry that I wanted to do, but I just didn't know how to. But starting off at a young age will actually help you to move a little bit faster and move a little bit stronger.
And that's a good point. So you guys are in good shape. You got for the people that are off camera right now. But you guys are in a good position because you're making moves towards your dream. This is the time. If I can give you any advice at your age, and these guys look to be maybe super early 20s, maybe. Yeah. This is the time to take chances, right? Yeah. Whatever you think you shouldn't do that. Learn, do all the stuff. So when you wake up at 25, 26, 29, you're going to be miles ahead of anybody else in that space.
Right.
So this is the time. Go hard, take chances. I'm assuming you guys don't have kids or you're not married or anything. This is the time to go for it. Yeah. Don't let a day go by that you're not going for it.
So he's talking to Alex and Levi and Alex off camera, but he's actually talking to everybody that's in front of the camera. Yeah. All young independent filmmakers.
Independent filmmakers, take chances, go for it. Don't wait. If you can't find the money, shoot it anyway. If you can't get the actor you want, get another good one that may not have the same cachet as that one. It doesn't matter. Make the project.
That's cool.
Now, another thing added to that is that, like, when Harold and I first started, we'd make a film not knowing what's going to happen with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a different, when you're making a film and you know it's going to get distributed, that's a different approach. We were making films like, we're making this film, but then there's this sinking feeling like, I'm probably going to do a premiere. That's probably as far as it's going to go.
It's money gone.
Maybe I'll make some money back on a premiere. But now we're in a time where, if you make a film and you complete a feature film, it's almost guaranteed
and
distribution.
You can market it.
And you take advantage of these platforms. Mm-hmm. So these young filmmakers coming up in a time where so that being said, think about your film before you make it now that you know thousands, if not millions of people can see this film.
Right.
Talk about different forms of platforms that you guys actually used or talk about different forms of platforms that's already out there.
So again, Frank was talking about when we first started, DVDs were still a thing.
Yeah.
You would go to these film festivals, you sell your DVDs, you try to get a deal. I actually got one of my first film. I sort of got a roundabout way, and back when Netflix was still renting DVDs out to people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I went like a roundabout way with this sort of non-exclusive distributor, and my film was actually on Netflix's DVD list, right? And people they ordered like 2,000 DVDs from me, and I thought, I've arrived. I made it.
Uh-huh.
But So back then it was a lot of DVDs. It was a lot of physical copies. Now that's not. Earlier it would be hard to get on anywhere because the networks had everything sort of locked down. And then over in the past maybe 5 years, these other streaming platforms started coming out, and then you were able to get on Amazon. You were able to get on certain places, and then and that still wasn't really financially beneficial, at least to me. What came to be financially beneficial was when these ad-based platforms came out, right? Mm-hmm. So the Tubies, the Freebies, when those guys came out and they were ad-based, now where before Amazon would tell you need to have somebody watch your whole movie for 10 cents or you don't get anything, right? These ad-based platforms where now every time somebody watches a commercial, you get a piece of that.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So if you can just generate traffic, you can generate money. Mm-hmm. And that became like when it sort of clicked, right? Mm-hmm. And then that sort of opens your mind up to like, okay, I got to generate traffic now. I should be thinking more about branding. I should be thinking more about advertising. I should be thinking more about the larger picture and not just be happy to have gotten a movie done. Right? Now it's a different space. So, the ad-based platforms are the place to go to get money as you move. There's still some opportunity now to get on streaming platforms that'll pay you in advance.
Oh, yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. That's new. You know what I mean? So, like, it's open right now, and I'll talk if you want. I can talk about that a little bit more, but I don't want to monopolize the conversation.
One of the things we mentioned, like he mentioned, the ad base. It's like now you can get your stuff on a streaming platform, and it's from the old model with the distributors. You got quarterly reports, and if you was going to get payments, it was going to be quarterly. Mm-hmm. And then after so many 1 or 2 years, whatever, they switched to annual. Mm-hmm. So you sitting waiting on, you could be making money and you never see it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But with some of these current distributors and aggregators and stuff, it's like, it's not, you can, if you get a check, you can cash out your money once you set up your structure with some of these companies. So it's sort of like how Uber or companies like that come in and change the game. It's happening across the board, and I believe that the COVID pandemic helped to level that the playing field. And I believe now the opportunities have expanded even more because it's like now, for example, with Uber, I don't have to wait on a taxi.
Right. Yep.
Okay. Now I don't have to. Now I don't have to wait on a distributor to cut me my check.
Right.
And that's how things are changing. It's different. Like it's something when you need that money and you wait on a distributor, you got to trust the report he sent you to make sure them numbers is right, and then you got to wait on the check. So it's like it's completely changed when you start going in the direction from distributors and moving over to more like aggregators. So that's and then to Harold's point, you got the freebies, you got Tubi, and the thing is, it seems like they're popping up. Yeah, every day a new one popped up.
So now, explain to me, or talk a little bit more about the proceeds or the good things about being an independent filmmaker now, because it's like a lot of these big production companies are strictly looking at independent filmmakers. How do you feel about that?
So it's a weird time, or at least I've grown into a space where it's a weird space for me to be in, right? And what I mean by that is, now I can make money off of my work. Yep. Right. Mm-hmm. And be able to live off of my work, which is new. Yeah. Right. This is not. It hasn't always been that way. Mm-hmm. This is new. With that said, you always have to. You can't rest on your laurels. You always have to be innovating and figuring out what's next and getting there before the next person gets there. Yes. Because the larger platforms, like for example, there was a window of about 3, 4, 5 years where it was, relatively speaking, possible to sell if you can get connected to the right person to sell your movie to Netflix, right? And get your movie on Netflix. Mm-hmm. Now what Netflix is realizing is that that's a lease on a movie. So they pay you X amount of dollars for X amount of years.
Right.
And then at the end, usually somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 5 years. At the end of that 2 to 5 years, if that movie is performing and they want to keep it, they got to pay you again,
Mm-hmm.
right? The end goal of any industry, not just film, is ownership.
Yes.
Right? So they have decided, you know what? We're not going to do that anymore. We're going to spend that money on making our own movies,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to kill that independent producer.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to work, you got to work for me, Netflix,
Mm-hmm.
and make my movie that I keep forever, and you just become a worker, right? So there's always, every time you find a niche, they come and try to snatch it from you.
Away. Yeah.
So you always got to be moving and figure out where's the next thing and trying to get there before everybody else.
Yeah.
Explain to people the importance of owning your own material and why.
Here's the thing. You go ahead.
No, all I was going to say is I like the aggregator outlet because it's not exclusive. So if I sign with an aggregator and they say, hey, we got your film here, here, you know, it's still my film. If the film is doing well and some other network comes, hey, we want that film, I can go to aggregator and say, pull all them films down. I'm going to go over here. And so that you have control of your product and which direction that you take it in. And so I love that option. It's just that sometimes as a filmmaker, you're torn between, I want HBO to release my movie,
Mm-hmm.
or am I going to go with this aggregator and make some money? And sometimes that becomes a balance because the industry, somewhere we believe that Hollywood is the only way. That's what we've been trained.
That's what we've been
And
trained.
it's ingrained.
Mm-hmm.
I'm moving to Hollywood. And so with that mindset, sometimes when you're making a film, you're still looking for the blessings of the powers to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's not so easy, I wouldn't say it's hard, but it's not so easy to get that out of your thought process and making a film. Oh my God, I'm posting on Facebook, HBO is releasing my movie, I'm getting 700 likes, whatever, you know, and that rush that comes with that. But at the end of the day, you know, when you release a film, like how many checks is, HBO may release it, but you know, how much money did you get paid? Are you getting paid from HBO on this at one time payment, or are you getting paid for a lifetime? Because some of these deals, and I know Harold personally has gotten in situations where for the rest of his life or for the rest of our lives, checks are going to come in off that one movie because it's yours. No one owns it. So I think you have to weigh between what you're looking for, what your form of success is, and ultimately what you want to, you know.
You made a good point. You made a point. Explain to me how important it is, how important social media is for an independent filmmaker.
It can make or break you.
Yeah.
It
Explain to me why.
It just can.
Yeah.
Whenever you or your product, I'll put it to you this way. When I'm doing film festivals, and sometimes I still do them depending on the project and if it makes sense or whatever. Previously, they would just ask for the film and look at it and see if it's any good. Right? Now they ask for the film, and when you're filling out the information to get into the film festival, they say who's in it, give me their social media handles, give me and they look at those numbers, and they look at the traffic that these people could generate, and that informs whether the decisions they're going to make. It's not just the movie anymore. It's not just your product anymore. Now it's you. It's an all sort of encompassing thing, and social media is the representation of you. Yeah. So, side note for younger filmmakers: be careful what you put out there.
Oh yeah.
Be careful what you put out there. And back to the point, it can make or break you. Putting out a message that tells people you're a respectable filmmaker that should be taken seriously is important. And sometimes that's just numbers. I can generate this amount of traffic. Sometimes it's the narrative of what you're putting out.
Listen, you hit it right on the nose, because that's what I was hoping you would say. Right, yeah. To see if you are a respected filmmaker, and to see what kind of person you are. That social media thing is, you have to really be careful what you ask. If you are selling a product, you really have to be careful.
You're the product.
Right. You really have to be careful what you post on social media, because that can make you or break you. Or make you or break you.
Yeah.
Frank, what were you about to say? You were about to say something?
Well, it's interesting because I agree with Harold regarding the social media.
Yeah.
But it's, man, I don't know. It just seems like to me, because now, like say you're going to start a business.
Right.
In your business plan, you hear everybody, you got to have your social media page, Instagram, Facebook, all these things, Twitter, everything that's necessary. But it seems like now it's more about likes than success, or likes is attributed to success.
Yeah, it depends
when it
on
comes
the person.
to social media.
It depends on that person.
So it's like now I'm more of, let me use social media if I want to release a trailer, or more business versus, hey y'all, this is what I'm doing. You know, because it seems like that seems to become more important than
you're absolutely
taking advantage of it for what it really is.
You're absolutely right. That social media is an outlet for you to provide that services that you. It's a free outlet, first of all, for you to talk about what it is that you're doing next. For you to get it out there, and whether it be a red carpet event, or whether it be something that you're working on, or whether you need help with something. These free outlets are there for you to utilize. Utilizing them in the right way is up to you. Because if you don't, that can make you or break you.
Yeah, and it's, I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You should really be thinking of it as a tool, right?
Right.
And the way I sort of, and I'm not the best social media person out
Neither
there.
am I.
I'm the worst.
Right.
I'm below both of y'all.
right. But I use it mainly to create a narrative that I want you to understand about me, right? It's not come in my house, look at what I'm doing.
Right.
I just, I need you to understand who I am, and I cultivate
And that's it. Yeah.
that social media for that. And then I also use it, like you said, build up buzz for the premiere, talk about what I'm doing next, keep that energy out there. Because that's the truth is, when somebody figures, I mean, we all know this, right? When somebody takes notice of you, they're not gonna, the first thing they're gonna do is not call you. They're gonna go online.
Social media. I don't care what it is, a new job or whatever it is.
Any
social
industry,
media
pick
now.
an industry.
Yeah.
Pick an industry. That's what they're gonna do. So you really have to cultivate what it is you want people to know and understand about you. And I'm not saying lie. I'm just saying
Build a brand.
Build what
A
it
brand,
is you want people to know about you.
Right. One of the things that I love about social media, I will say this because this is one of the things you would find in these old distribution deals. They'll tell you, X amount of dollars fee for marketing. They're going to spend money on this for marketing. And you have no way to know or verify if it's true.
If it's true or not.
It's not true.
Now when you mention market, it's
spoiler alert.
Right.
It's not true.
Exactly.
Right.
You never see a check. But what I love about social media, and that's why when I said the playing field has been leveled, how you can take a trailer or whatever you want to do, and you can do a boost, and a boost could be start at $5. It's as much as you want to do. But that boost will put your work on someone else's timeline. And in essence, that brings the power of marketing to you. So if a distributor's saying, I'm putting $40,000 marketing into your work, you can take $40,000.
Yeah, and at this stage, previously, I don't know what $40,000 in marketing looks like. Right. Now I do.
I don't.
Yeah, because I can market my own stuff. So I
you
know
can
what
spend
$40,000.
$250 and market a trailer, and God knows how many people that have reached, that have pushed them to the platform where your movie is.
I don't know what $40,000 worth of marketing looks like.
Right.
But I can tell you the same part of the same thing that they're going to do, we can do for ourselves because
All
the
of the same
platform
thing
is
that
out.
they can do.
Because the platform is out there.
Yeah, everything that they're going to do, we can do. And this goes back to the aggregator versus distributor model. There's nothing they can do for us now that we can't do for ourselves.
Distributors, any distributors watching this, they're not going to like what we're saying.
Yeah.
You're in trouble.
Because they
You're in
see,
trouble.
we're exposing a lot of stuff that you can put the power back into the hands of the filmmaker.
This is the sole reason why we got this show.
Yeah.
For us to complete the goal that we want to complete, give ourselves the tools to move ahead, to cross that bridge. I'm going to jump around and ask you a question. Favorite directors?
My guy is Sidney Lumet. He's the only guy that I like. In general, I like his style. Everyone else, I like after Sidney Lumet, I like movies, right?
Right.
Because every director, even Sidney Lumet, every director, Spielberg, Scorsese, you get out there and you want to do something great, but sometimes you strike out, you hit, you miss. So if you go down anybody's catalog, you'll see home runs and you'll see strikeouts. You know, it's art, right? You give it your best shot, and sometimes it don't come together the way you thought it would. So my guy is Sidney Lumet, and then after that, I like movies.
Right.
I like particular movies.
All right, it's tough, man. But I'm just gonna say Clint Eastwood right now, and I'll just say that because
let me. I think you and we're on the same page. I like the simplicity of everything. I'm a Sidney Poitier guy.
Okay, gotcha.
To the day I die.
Yeah.
Because he keeps it simple. He talks about what's going on in life.
Right.
And you can relate to it. That's why I love Sidney Poitier. I love everything about Sidney. I love Clint Eastwood too.
We know how hard, if you're a filmmaker, it's hard to make a good movie.
Right.
I don't care how good the script is and your casting. I mean, you do all that right. You do pre-production, everything. Mm-hmm. But even at the end of the day, when you're looking at your footage, you're still doing it.
You're still
hoping. You're still hoping, whatever. And the thing is, what I love about Clint Eastwood is that 9 times out of 10, he makes a good movie. He tells great stories, and it just seems like he keeps it simple.
Yeah.
Simply and so I just love that. And I've heard good stories too about his team and just how he's working.
The thing I like about Clint Eastwood is he has a 9 to 5 rule. Right? At 5 o'clock, he's done for the day.
He's done. You know who else has that?
That's it.
You know who else has that? And I kind of picked that up, but I kind of lost track. Eminem, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
He takes it. I picked that rule. I picked that up probably about a month ago, but it only lasts for about a week.
I got it.
Because I come down in the studio.
That's funny.
Sometimes it's like
away,
9 to 10 o'clock. I'll stop and then go up upstairs.
Yeah. I got a 10-hour rule. Right?
Yeah.
10, like that shit. At 10 hours, we cutting this guy off.
Yeah.
Because everybody's brain is fried.
Yep.
And,
And
just, you're not doing anything great.
It's worse when you try.
Right.
It's worse when you try. Yeah. It's worse when you try to push it off a fried brain because now you're getting messed up material.
Oh,
yeah.
And you're trying to fish.
Yeah, you're just trying to. All right, let's just finish. And that's you might have gotten through today, but what you did today is going to be on film forever. Right.
If you had any good information to give an up and coming filmmaker, what would you tell them right now?
Don't just work hard. Hard work is not enough.
It's not enough as being an independent filmmaker. It's not enough. Good is not enough as an independent filmmaker, especially if you don't have financial backing.
Mm-hmm. Don't just work. Work smart. Figure out where the game is going, where you fit in, and start moving in that direction.
Right.
Actively moving in that direction.
Mm-hmm. I'd say if you're not passionate about it, walk away.
Yeah.
Don't even step in this arena. Cause if you're not eat, sleep, dreaming, talking, film, and then you're not passionate, don't even go into it because it requires too much. It takes everything out of you. So that would be my advice.
All right. So the moral of this podcast is we're here to express what it is. Like we've all had that moment in our lives where we realize, hey, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. When did you have that moment?
I tell people I have one brother, but I grew up in a very, I have a lot of cousins and uncles and aunts. So it's like my grandparents had 12 kids, right?
Yeah.
So my mother was one of 12.
Mine had 16, but go ahead.
so like and they all had kids, so we got cousins and uncles for days, right? And my family is I'm a relatively quiet dude. Like it takes a lot of energy for me to do this.
Yeah, I had to call you about 1,000 times.
Yeah. We're not talking about that. So I'm a relatively quiet guy, but my family isn't. They talk to the TV and they enjoy life, man. They are actively participating in movies and stories and comedies and so just sitting back as a kid and watching the joy and the manipulation that film can give people, seeing my family get upset and laugh, like really laugh at something. Like it was just like poetry, just watching, and I didn't know what that was, but I knew I wanted to give people that, right? I wanted to make them laugh, and I wanted to make them cry, and I wanted to make them angry and happy. Like I wanted to give people those emotions. So the short of it is, I don't ever remember a time where I didn't want to do it.
Oh,
you know,
that's cool.
But you know, life took. I went into the military, and life sort of takes the turns that it takes, and you know, you end up going in places that you didn't think you would go, and then you lose track of yourself for a few years, and then you resettle. So, I'm in a good place. I'm happy now, and I just don't remember a time where I didn't want to do this.
That's cool.
Mine was there's a local filmmaker a lot of people may not know about by the name of Bruce Brown, and I went to his film premiere. And actually, Bruce Brown, I know one of Taraji P. Henson's first films. She was in one of his first films, and that film that got accepted, I want to say the New York Film Festival, and that's how she got discovered by the movie Baby Boy.
Singleton.
Yeah. But anyway, my point is I went to the film premiere, and at the end they had all the actors stand, and I took my boys there, and some of the actors that was in the movie stood up on either side of me, and at moment. Just like, man, these local people, I don't know who they are, but they made it to the screen. Yeah. And then I realized what he did by giving local people an opportunity to realize their dream. And that's just like, this is what I want to do. And if anybody will tell you that know me, just work with me, I'm all about giving local people opportunities. And that's for me, like winning an Oscar is one thing, but if I'm ever recognized locally for this man just stayed here in the DMV area and made movies and gave people opportunities, that award would mean more to me than any other award I could possibly get.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to tell me with your companies that you have, I want you to tell me what your mission statements are. My mission statement is to provide a services or to provide a bridge where others can cross to complete their service or to have an opportunity to express what it is that they're doing. Whether it may be as an actor or whether it may be as a producer or director or however the case may be. I want to be able to provide that bridge. It's actually trying to what it is that we're doing right now, if it's with this podcast or if it's with this studio upstairs or whatever it may be. My goal is to provide a bridge so others can cross so they can get to where they need to be with their craft. What's your mission statement with your company?
Yeah, I wish you would have gave me a little heads up. I would have prepared something.
You know it.
Right. I mean, I really have. I've sort of, after going through my career and ending up in a place now where the movies are a little bit bigger than, I mean, they're a lot bigger than what they used to be, but they're still relatively small, but we're moving in an upward trajectory, you know. I've been able to see things from a little bit of a different lens in a better way. So with that said, I think I really have two missions as a filmmaker. The more community-based mission is, you know, we were just really quickly, we just did a film called Iceman, and one of the makeup artists, a lovely woman, her name is Danielle. It was the last day, we were all saying thank you, bye everybody, you know, it was fun. And she took the time, and she was almost in tears, and she said,
"No,
you know,"
she was in tears.
And she said, "You know, I've always wanted to be a part of a movie machine, make movies, and everybody told me, pack up your bags and go to LA, go to Hollywood. That's the only way it's done. That's the only way you can do it." And now here we are. I've been working with Danielle since 2014.
That's cool.
Putting her on every movie I can and sending her name to people whenever they ask me for makeup artists. I'll try to send her to them. And she said, "You know, I've been living my dream right here, right now, and it's thanks to what you guys are doing."
That's exactly what I'm talking about as far as like my mission. I love giving other people opportunity to express themselves in their craft.
Yeah, so that's the more community-based mission, and then the more individual, personal mission is I'm a big believer and proponent in the power of the moving image, right? I think that's one of the biggest the most important developments in human history, right? And it sounds like I'm being pretentious now.
No.
I mean, just, even if you think of like the atom bomb, unfortunately 150,000, 300,000 people passed away because of that. But when you think about the moving image can influence millions of people every day in any way you want them to go. So what we're doing right now what you're doing right now seems like, oh, we're just putting a podcast together. No, you're forming the way people see the world, right? And you can use that power for good or for bad. And I know that, if we're going to bring it to specifically black males, in history has shown us not a great light in film, right?
Right.
So the more individual personal mission for me is to change that narrative and put us back in a position of respect and power on film and sort of be a part of that charge, changing the narrative that way.
That's cool.
Yeah, the first is what you said, your mission statement, mine mirrors that.
Yeah.
It's a creative vehicle to give local opportunities to local artists to realize their dream. And then to piggyback off what Harold said, is to really make films that are going to impact. At the risk of sounding positive, it's room for all of us in this business. But, based on my life, what I've been through, experiences, I want to share films that are going to leave people with something or make them want to come back and watch the film again. Still entertaining, still the elements you need to keep a story moving, but ultimately a message where people just walk away and, like Harold said, just kind of recreate a new narrative and especially African Americans, and I only say that because my experiences as African American and the negative aspect of it, and then being able to just show another side. So,
man, listen, we only got an hour for this show, and I know we're close to that hour. I feel grateful that you guys are here. I want to say keep on doing what you're doing, and I think you guys are amazing. From what I see thus far, I think we're going into the right direction where you need to be and holding up your own as an independent filmmaker. So with that being said, once again, my name is Randall Lawrence. I'm the host of That Moment podcast. I'm closing out with Harold and Frank Jackson. Man, tell us what it is that you completed or worked on. Tell us how we can stay in contact with you, and tell us what you have coming up next.
I'll let Harold.
And if it's any shout outs that you guys want to give them out right now.
Yeah. So shout out to my entire team. They know who they are. At this point, I got about 7-8 regular people that I've been able to work with over the years, and they've been such a blessing to me and a pleasure to work with.
One of your regular people was Sean, right?
Sean Willard
Sean
is one of my regular.
I did 4 or 5 years with him at House of Cards. Sean
Sean's
is
a good
amazing.
dude. That's my guy, man.
Yeah, Sean is amazing.
So I don't want to start naming people because I'll
forget
somebody.
Right.
And it's a big shout out to the sort of parent company for what I've been doing, Terrell Entertainment.
She's supposed to be here again.
And Tawana Terrell.
Yeah. Shout out to her too.
She's been an angel, that's allowed me to take steps and move forward.
That's good.
It just allowed me to grow, but also with her help and influence and investments and stuff like that, I've been able to provide for other people in that process as well.
Right.
So she's been an absolute blessing. So back to what I got going on. Right now, my latest film that's out right now is a film called Gaslight. If you look it up, if you look up Gaslight, it's the 2022 version, obviously not the 1942 version or whatever. But that's a real fun film. I think it's one of those date night, fatal attraction type of movies. Previous to that, one of my bigger films is a film called my biggest film previous to that was a film called Last Night. That one kind of put me on the map. You can still find that out right now. The film before that is a really art house film called The Forgettable Life of Liam White. That's also out as well. You can find that on Roku and a few other places. And right now I have, honestly, I have 3 films personally, and then I helped Frank produce his film, but I have 3 films that are completed in various forms of completion. 2 films that are completed, and 1 film that's we just finished shooting last week.
That's cool.
So those films are coming out soon. We're looking for the best deals and the best opportunities for those films.
So good.
So life is good, man. You can find me at Harold Jackson 3, at Harold Jackson 3. That's the best place to look for me. If you look up Harold Jackson the Third on Google, all my stuff will come up. So definitely check me out, friend me, all that social media stuff.
Yeah, as Harold said, we finished Iceman. I was producer on that, and Harold's director, writer, producer as well. And prior to that, I just directed a film called The Agnostic. It starred Terrell Hicks, and it's about a Christian woman who finds herself torn after falling in love with someone who doesn't believe in God. And definitely a special shout out to Terrell Entertainment as well for helping make that film happen. It wouldn't have happened without her. Also, the team, we've been finding ourselves mirroring each other with the teams that we're using and all of the players with the crew. So definitely a shout out to all the players. Like Harold said, if I start naming, you forget somebody, but everybody know who they are. Special thanks to them. So yeah, that's it.
How can people stay in contact?
It's Instagram, Frank, middle initial E, Jackson, suffix Jr. Yeah.
So Frank, before we leave, at one point in time, I thought I saw you. You filmed it with the iPhone too.
Oh, it's not the iPhone. It's the Samsung Galaxy S20.
That's my favorite phone. Let people know your experience with that, because I don't want people to think that they can't make a film just because they don't have a camera.
Real quick, it's not as obvious. It's not as simple as hit and record.
Right.
It's an entire process, and I spent the last 3 to 4 years perfecting a filmmaking process using the cell phone along with all the other mediums. From audio to there's third-party apps, and I specifically used the Samsung Galaxy because the third-party app that I use will only work with them. This wouldn't work with the iPhone, because I wanted to use the iPhone. But anyway, it allows you to take control of your camera, iris, everything, shoot 4K, log,
Right.
everything. And actually, Harold and I have been friends for a minute, and when I first started, he was right there. He's seen the evolution of when I first started shooting with the cell phone to where it's at now. So I basically been just kind of developing that process, that filmmaking process, and we shot The Agnostic on the Samsung Galaxy S20.
Good.
Yep.
Again, man, like I said, that hour came quick. I truly appreciate you guys. And with that being said, keep doing what you're doing, and
keep doing what you're doing, brother.
Yeah,
this is a good thing,
stuff
man.
right here.
thank you, man. I truly
Helping us get the word out. This is, the studio is insane.
Surprise.
thank you.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. All right, with that being said, I'm out.